Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And this is Zede Donahue.
And today we're continuing our costuming series. This has been a good one in the group.
Yeah.
People have liked it. People want to just go find some show to costume.
Oh, you know what? We talked about what we were going to talk about. Now I've got all these other ideas flying through my
Write them
head.
down.
Yes,
I
will.
have to
I will.
admit that we were like, wait a second, what did we already talk about? And I went back and listened to the podcast, and we did an intro about what we were supposedly going to speak about in podcast 2, and then I listened to podcast 2, and that's not really, I feel, exactly what we talked about. So,
all of it was good information. It's just not organized.
Yeah.
Which you want to be. If you're a costumer, you want to be organized. And you want to think of a timeline. You want to know, okay,
That's
you know,
what was-
are you right? Are you a week out or 2 weeks out
That
from
wa-
dress? And remember, dress rehearsal means you should have all the costumes.
That's what got some people's attention was the use of spreadsheets.
Yes.
Some people really liking that.
Right.
We're going to speak a little bit more about costume construction and pieces, and then I think the next episode will be more about the practicalities of timelines and working through a show.
And while the show is
alterations
going
and
on,
stuff like
because
that.
we haven't talked about
Mhm.
as the show is happening.
So if you are costuming a show, you may go in and work in a theater. I think we've mentioned that they might have stock. But what if you're building up a stock? Or
Right.
what would be great to have in stock? Or what kind of stock garments have we used to great effect in the past is what we're going to talk about.
And I think this extends into some other areas when we talk about stock. We could be talking about a dance troupe.
Yeah,
We could be talking about a choir
Right.
or a show choir or
Mhm.
something like that where they have a performing season. So you might make, especially if you're just starting out or this. Usually when these things get started, there's not a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
You know, sometimes later more money happens because, you know, the person who's in charge has proven to the powers that be
That
that
it's
it's worthy of some
valuable
grant
and-
or,
uh-huh.
something like that. And sometimes more money comes. That's why you also may be working for nothing
Right.
until you prove yourself. And then all of a sudden you will get a stipend. I remember I worked for a show choir, I think, like 3 years, and I only got stipend the last 6. And believe me, the first stipend was like $500.
Wait, you just said you worked for 3 years and you only got stipend the next 6.
Yeah,
Did you
I
mean
worked for 9 years
9
altogether,
years,
and the first 3 I didn't get
get
anything.
anything?
And then I got stipend on the 4th year, and he's like, "I got you a stipend," and I was like, "This is gonna be a joke," and it was. I think it was $500. Okay, I would start sewing on these costumes in June.
Yeah.
Okay, and the first time they wore them was in January.
Right.
And I sewed every single day, including like through the night on holidays. Thanksgiving, I would like throw a turkey in and be sewing on costumes at the same time.
Oh, sure. So when we say it's a joke, we mean like it was 10 cents an hour,
maybe it was 12 cents. It was a
Which-
sweatshop.
Which, you
Right.
might want to think about that
So
when you're
obviously I did
you know.
this out of the goodness, and believe me, I was not always reimbursed for everything that I purchased because, I can't tell you how many times, oh, well, I lost the receipt. So copy your receipts and then turn them in, or now you can take a picture on your phone.
And that's why we have so many bolts of sequin fabric, because
That's
we
right.
actually own the fabric.
We do.
we
do.
didn't steal it.
We didn't
from
get paid for it ever.
so
Right.
it's ours.
I remember some boas I bought one year. Remember that?
Yeah.
But
Okay, so let's talk about stock
Stock.
pieces.
Mhm.
So if you go into a theater and there is stock, that's great.
right.
Take inventory.
Inventory and try and organize it in some manner.
Mhm.
Like, I would probably, there's all ways to do this. Now there's computer programs you can find
Right.
that do this. But just in the shop in general, and I hope you have a costume shop that not too many people have access to and can invade and like take things from where they were, and you think they were supposed to be there, and then you go and they're gone and all that. But for instance, like I would have all vest in one place. And I would label them women and men, and that meant something to me.
Yeah.
Like women's versus men, because, the women's might not look like a male character.
Right.
Didn't mean that, like, I didn't look through all of them when I was but,
Sure.
that said something to me. Long dresses versus short dresses versus long skirts and short skirts. And then, I had blouses versus shirts, which blouses meant they might be frilly.
Yeah.
And I don't think I didn't have that male and female, because like there were what I call blouses on men, because that's what they called them at one time when they were frilly and fluffy or what.
So you're really labeling and taking inventory sort of based on the shape.
And I'm labeling that like on the rack or on the closet, what's in there.
And you're doing this based on like the shape of the garment is what I want to say. I think that's a really good point.
Pretty much.
Because if you need a short skirt, you can go and you can look for that, or a long skirt, and if there's something about it that makes it a certain period,
and a lot of times I would try and like hang them by color, and it would stay pretty good.
Color ties,
right? I didn't usually go by size, because size was always arbitrary till who you found out you had, unless I had like a dance troupe, and I would write, blue dance troupe costumes, and I might hang them by size, or I might have a piece of paper hanging someplace on them that said I had these sizes, so that I knew, because it might depend. Maybe they won't be blue. Maybe we'll go to the red costumes, because these are going to fit this troop better.
We need more of this size,
something like that. Other things like belts, eyeglasses,
accessories,
jewelry, anything like that, I would bin it. It would be in a bin, and it would be labeled really big. And I had a closet that a lot of those bins would fit in, or shelving, something like that. There were other things that I made that I kept for stock, like huge butterfly wings.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff I would just hang on the wall. I would cover it like in clear plastic, or in like some sort of... Or if I wanted to cover it, say, like in just like muslin, and drape it so it wouldn't get dusty, because it really got really dirty, the costume shops. I've never been in a clean costume shop except for bridal.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have a choice. You make lint, you make dirt, there's makeup winds up in there, all this stuff. So I would hang things like that on the wall. They didn't get crumpled. They didn't get destroyed. They didn't wind up being like mouse bedding, which is something, believe me, mice love costume shops.
Oh, sure.
And I knew where it was, and, it was a costume shop.
Yeah,
it made sense.
Those big pieces, so you're organizing those. Now, I want to talk about if you're developing stock, or if you're starting to sew for someone, or some troupe, or some company, or something like that. It's really nice to keep this in mind. How could this be used again?
That's right.
How could this be versatile for this company? Like having a bunch of black leotards for a dance troupe, like you can't go wrong. Like
black tap pants.
Yeah, okay, we can put these on. We can add something to them. We can blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing that you have made, or that you made in the past that got used for years and years and years, decades, are these multi-layer white circle skirts with elastic waistbands. Yes. Yep. Talk about those. Describe those skirts to me.
So they were, I believe they were 3 layers. The top layer was a sparkle organza. The middle layer was what?
I know I have one around here somewhere.
I don't know. I think it was some sort of like light taffeta or something.
Right.
They were very light. And then, the third layer underneath, closest to the skin, was like a lining. Because, of course, they're white. You don't want unlined white and the lighting going through everybody's legs.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that leg shadow.
So these were elastic waistbanded circle skirts.
Right.
And so they stretched over someone's hips and then, hung on at their waist, right? Like that's where they fit. And the edges were finished. I think all 3 edges were finished with a rolled edge on the serger.
They were all rolled edge.
Boom.
Yep.
Guys,
they were all rolled edge.
The rolled edge on the serger in costuming is...
Well, and the other thing about the elastic band on the skirt is, of course, they fit and you could roll it. So I didn't, you could use it somewhere and not have to hem, and you could roll the waistband.
Right. Just to adjust the height like that.
Now, some places you don't want to roll it. If it would show or something, you wouldn't want that. But we did, I made like 30 of these.
Yeah.
So through the years, they got parceled off into, stage productions, not just show choir. Also, they were used as petticoats.
And tree skirts.
Skirts.
It's my tree skirt. It looks like snow. It's really cute.
I think that was the...
I think Hillary has one.
Oh, she might.
I think Hillary has one as a tree skirt as well. It's great.
There were a lot. And so those, I didn't even hang those in the costume shop. Those were boxed.
So I want to talk about...
Those were boxed because, again, it was sort of like... There's 24 of these circle skirts. I kind of wanted to keep them together, and I didn't know how I was going to use them.
Yeah.
Right? And, they were just boxed. They were binned.
Okay, the other thing about them is they were polyester.
They were polyester.
Okay,
they went right in the wash and did not have to be ironed.
That's right. So they could be binned up. They could be gotten out. They could be, washed and dried, and then they were just ready to go.
Right.
So when you're costuming, you need to think about the materials like that. Sometimes we occasionally will use the word like Halloween fabric or like cheap whatever.
When I say that wasn't cheap fabric.
No, right. So let's talk. There's
a Halloween to me is that acetate stuff,
right?
Which actually the black and white striped dress is made of.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's made of Halloween fabric.
I don't know how many times it's been worn.
Oh yeah.
It started out in Hello Dolly.
Uh-huh.
It actually went to Lyceum. I know that. I just don't know how many times it was worn.
I just think that sometimes people say the word polyester and they think low quality.
No, polyester is durable. It's hot. It's durable.
It can be very durable as long as it's not. I mean, what
does everybody think all those wedding gowns are made out of?
Right, they're
polyester.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
Polysatin.
A lot of those, if you can get a nice, reasonable quality polyester, that's going to be a really durable costume.
Yes.
Easy to launder, lasts a long time, won't fade.
Right.
Like, you can't, if you put somebody up there in like a silk dress or something like that it might only last the run of the show, possibly.
I have had, and I obviously have some silk garments that I use for costuming, and I never left them in the shop. I always brought them home. They're too fragile. And they don't last. They really don't last. Same way with wool. You just got to be careful because moths will eat it.
It takes another level of care.
Right? Yeah. There's no close-ups on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
If this looks good from 10 feet away, you got it made.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I really honestly believe one of the most important things is color and fit.
Yeah, so
texture. I like texture.
Those polysatins that you find that are kind of like have a good body to them, like they can be nice,
Right.
So polyester can be good if you're going to be, making these garments that you want to last a long time. So those white circle skirts got used so much. I love that you talked about how you stored them a little differently.
And the other thing we did with those is we would make, a square to put on top of them. With the hole in the middle. And so now you had like this other layer of color on it. So you could make, with these, you could make a skirt and make everybody look like they were wearing like flower petals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were just very versatile. And I'm trying to think in show choir. Initially, I think they were worn with the gold.
Gold vest.
Well, it was, okay. It was a gold jacket.
That had puff sleeves on it.
And do you remember what happened to those the second year?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. So Zede made these gold jackets.
And they had an organza sleeve.
Yeah, so it was like a sheer sleeve. Mm-hmm. But it was a gold dot sequin vest with like a sheer sleeve on it. Okay. Right. Go ahead.
So used them one year, and I don't know if it was the next year or there was a year in between or whatever, but had those in stock. And we did Crazy for You, I think. No, yes. We did Crazy for You as a play, right? As the musical, the fall musical. And then in show choir, they were doing Pennies from Heaven. Mm-hmm. So, pull those babies again. And I kept those those gold things.
Vests
been
are
too
great,
because there were 24 of them, right?
Right.
So the next year, I'm like, hallelujah. I already have the gold I have this shiny, looks like money vest
Right.
for the girls, and I'll just make gold vest sort of plain for the guys because it was what we called the mixed show choir. Okay. So got all that done, and then in the show, okay, and we talked about this, I believe, in a previous broadcast. So in the show, I did have to alter these. They were different girls. Different people were wearing them in the actual Crazy For You show. I had to take, some of them had like seams that were like an inch and a half in places, that is sort of folded over and tacked down. But they also only wore them for maybe a minute and a half.
Right.
Okay. As long as I made them look like they fit. I don't even think that these girls even showed their back. They like walked on and walked. Okay. So I had this I had this
planned out.
I had this figured out. I didn't have to make any more costumes. So I come in to play rehearsal, and I don't remember exactly how this was revealed to me, but there was another mother there, and she had brought in her sewing machine. I had no knowledge of this. No one had said anything to me. There had been no discussion, no complaints, no permission granted.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And the mother had taken her scissors and cut out all of these seam allowances I was going to need to take out so they could wear them in, the other show that followed 2 weeks after this, right? So my costumes had been butchered without my permission, without my knowledge, and the little girl's in the play, and this is her mother's doing and she says, "Oh, look what mine." She's so proud, and I'm like, I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna freaking vomit sequins. I'm like, I mean, I felt like the blood like run out of my face, and I thought, okay, well, this show's taken care of. They can, but now I have to come up with 14 pennies from heaven.
Right,
Vest, something that, because what they did is they changed in show choir, they were going to change into this gold, right? So I went, the director of the show choir happened to be also the musical director of and he came in and goes, "How you doing tonight?" And I go, I'm dying. I want to cry. I don't know what to do. I don't even want to see these kids tonight. He goes, "What?" And I told him, and he goes, "Oh my God." He goes, Who let her think she could do that?"
Right.
And I said, "I guess she did. People decide to do things, right?"
Well,
I mean, I certainly was not me. I go, "If it was you, you're dead." And he goes, "I don't touch your costumes." I mean, he considered me another director.
Right.
It was wonderful to work for. So he said, "Do you want me to speak to her?" And I said, "No. There's no way to repair this.
Yeah.
I don't want to cause hard feelings. I certainly don't want the daughter to feel bad.
Right, the kid to feel bad.
But, oh my God, I need a lock and key on stuff,
Well, and that is, documentation can be good. Notes can be good on stuff. I'm just thinking about how, if you bend up these circle skirts, how you could write on there, can be rolled or can be, but then someone's just not going to read it at some point, of course. And that is the thing about costuming that gets me upset.
Right.
And that can be so frustrating.
Yes.
Is in some of these community productions, stuff like that can happen.
Yes.
You're just like, someone can go in and think that they can touch the stuff. Like I know how to sew and everything, and I've been in shows and I don't touch anything without asking someone.
You have to ask. That's
even if it's like this girl's hem fell out.
Right.
I would go to the costumer and say, "Hi, so and so's hem fell out. Is it okay if I hand stitch this up? I won't be cutting anything away."
Right.
That's what I would do.
Well, and it's just like when you borrow, and usually that's in your contract. I know you don't think you need a contract. I know you think this is your friend and they're just working in this other theater across town or something. No, you have to have a contract. And I mean, it doesn't have to be written by, some
Lawyer,
Esquire. Right. But it has
Zede Donahue, Esquire.
Yes, it has to say things like, there can be hand-sewn alterations, but no cutting, no, whatever. Okay, you have to specify it because it will come back, and you have to name these things. Or now you can take pictures on your phone.
Right.
You have, because it won't come back. They denied they had the wool top hat. It still bothers me. That was 25 years ago.
And so Franny borrowed that Bye Bye Birdie costume from us.
Yeah, but I told her she could do whatever she wanted.
Well, right. No, but I'm saying she also messaged us and said, we want gold braid here or instead of here or something like that. And she's like, and I can't figure out how to apply this without, like gluing it, I think is what she said. And so, you were like, well, I mean, I don't, when we...
What I said is, I really don't care if she glues it. And Mallory says, well, that could ruin it forever. And I go, I really don't care. And she goes... But I want that costume back.
Well, what
intact.
I said.
So Mallory. The costume was of more value to you than me at the time.
But I also thought, hey, I want to teach Franny how to.
Well, that's true too. And she did.
Yeah, I said, hey, Mom doesn't care if you glue it, but there is a way to sew this, and I described it to her, and she was like, well, hot damn, so that was cool.
And it will stay on.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the other thing.
It was more secure. It was removable then, but like I said, you didn't mind, and I don't know if I particularly minded, but I just saw another possibility there.
Well, and it is a costume. It's an Elvis. Costume.
Yeah.
So it's been used for a lot of things.
There you go. So
again, a piece of stock.
Labeling.
That's been worn by like 4 people now.
When you label things, or if you go into a costume shop, this is where it's good for you to have some knowledge of musical theater because, okay, if I see costumes that say crazy for you something, and I know the musical Crazy for You, then I can be like, oh, well, those will work for Will Rogers
and
Follies.
You know the genre of the costume.
I know the time period. I know that maybe like the shape or whatever. Like in Will Rogers Follies, they have the gems that are the showgirls, and I knew that you had done just show choir and showgirls and all this stuff. So I knew that would work. So anyway, either for you, dear listener, label with the show that they were originally made for. Yeah, you can label
with the show.
Or the style they are. That can be so helpful to someone coming in after
I would have labeled like the thing we gave Franny, Birdie costume and or Elvis costume because it's been used for both. It looks like
okay, so then someone goes to do a show where there's some kind of... They go to do Joseph.
Right.
Oh, there's an Elvis costume.
And Joseph. Maybe we can use this. And I made that out of knit.
Yep. Yeah, you did.
I did. I made that out of knit
knits,
so that
would
fit anybody. And I did save some fabric. Franny wound up wanting some gold that I didn't have, but it's pretty standard fabric, and she found it.
Yeah, that was kind of, and
right.
we will, that's so funny that we do have those leftover fabrics, because when I went to do...
Well, I had that fabric with that costume.
Yeah. When I went to do Will Rogers Follies, like we talked about before, we had the fabric to make someone another one of those powder puff costumes. Right. My friend Becca, I think is who it was. We had fabric to do that. We also still had the gold dot sequin to make some more vests with. It was pretty hilarious that we still had that stuff.
It's really nice to have extra fabric because you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I'd like to talk about that we didn't quite write down because it has to do with stock.
Sure.
Okay. Is pillaging. Okay. So. Pillaging. So I go in and I'm like, ooh, I have these show choir sequin topped halter dresses with, a chiffon skirt. They have passed their time. They're kind of falling apart, especially the chiffon skirts, okay? And I don't think we'll ever use these again because show choir has also changed.
Yeah.
And how it's done.
Boy, has it.
Okay? Yeah. Things grow. Things evolve. So I took those dresses and made them into showgirl leotard type dance costumes.
And guess what Emerald wore in Will Rogers Follies?
That's right.
One of the
green emerald
things.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget my director going, I thought I told you how much money you had, because I have like 12 girls show up in these green sequined showgirl outfits. And I go, those are the show choir dresses from, 1989 or whatever. And he goes, oh my gosh.
Okay,
So I'll tell you where I learned this from.
Yeah, and then I have something to bring up about this.
My aunt was a costumer for Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Well, and I worked with Bob Mackie. I mean, I knew about, I don't know if anybody, I think we've talked about this before, but I knew about the scarlet dress that was going to be on
the Carol Burnett show.
Carol Burnett show before it was, because she said, this is the most hilarious thing. You've got to watch it, So she took in making that dress.
Right.
So anyway, she just found it in the window.
But I just found it in the window and I couldn't resist.
So anyway, it is still so funny. But anyway, they used to do Jackie Gleason. Okay, this was a variety show.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows who he is, if you know the Honeymooners, but he had a variety show where they danced, and there was a troupe of dancers. I can't think of their name. It was a well-known woman's name. Dancer. Oh, how come I can't remember? And she'd say, did you see those costumes this week? Well, they started out so they would take something that started out like as a gown, and then they would turn into a dress, and at the end it would be like this little bikini like thing. So they would just keep cutting things down sometimes, and I mean, they had money. And they still did. June Taylor dancers.
June Taylor dancers. I went on my phone and checked it out.
That is it. She is a legend.
Okay. And
so think of those things.
Just
make sure it's not something you might want to reuse later.
Okay. Another note on this, okay, with pillaging. Be creative when you're culling a costume shop.
Yes.
Don't get rid of something.
Be careful.
I saw this happen at a couple of costume shops. And they were like, oh, this stuff's just so out of date. We're never going to use it. Get rid of it. And I would see.
Out of date.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
How can you be out of date when you're going to do something historical? You might do some show that's set in the 80s sometime, right?
You might want to dye it.
Okay.
Never get rid of a white shirt.
There you go.
Because it can be any color. It can be any color.
And have sequins added to it or whatever,
right.
Okay. So I would think, okay, you just put on the sale table some pretty nicely constructed fabrics in pretty good shape, dress or vest or whatever. And I would think, I see such possibility in this.
Right.
Or they would, if you have 20 of something,
keep it
if you can, because geez, when you have 20 people that you have to dress all the same, boy, will you be glad to have a starting point.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that some of those things that look a little out of date or whatever that means, right? They could be useful. They could be pillaged. They could be. I think those green dresses you're talking about, they weren't just dot sequin. It was like a textured fabric. It was really cool.
No. We have a ball right over there if you want to inspect
it. Is that what it is?
It is silk with sewn-on sequins, dear. They were silk.
Yeah.
At that,
from the days when
I'm not sure that dot sequin was even around yet. They had to use that kind of fabric.
So it's actually
they actually also had set rhinestones on the collar.
That's what I'm saying.
And I ripped every one of those off and reused them.
Yeah. So if you see those materials and stuff, be careful. That was a sad day when I saw that happen.
Or if somebody puts a whole lot of work into like a cow head.
Yeah.
Okay. And this would take us maybe to our next thing, like what we have to craft sometimes.
Yes.
But so I make this foam cow head, right? That's on the stage for 2 seconds in Gypsy. Right? But man, I'm proud of this cow head. Do not throw the cow head away. Put it in a trash bag, like a big, huge bag. Put it up on top of your cabinet way far away and put cow head
on it.
Because, the next thing you know, the children's theater is doing something.
Right.
And it's got the cow and the Jack and the Beanstalk. Or you do Into the Woods.
Right.
It's like it doesn't get used that often, but if somebody's put their resource, and you can repaint that cow head.
Well,
if you need milky white and that cow head happened to be brown, I can make it milky white with a can of hair.
Okay, well,
can of spray.
Let's take a little break here, and we're going to come back and talk about crafting. Hey, Mom.
Yeah?
You can feel free to compliment me.
Oh, no. On what?
On this.
What?
My feel free to compliment me enamel lapel pin.
Oh, Mallory, every time that you hear something wrong, are you going to make a lapel pin about it?
Maybe. Do you want one?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well,
isn't it teal?
Yes, it's teal and pink, and you can get one by going to sewhere.com/compliment.
Just so you know, I'm not putting it on my lapel. It's going on my hat.
Oh, it's going on your hat. It could be a hat pin, too. Okay. All right. So if you want to get in on the feel free to compliment me in on the club, go to sewhere.com/compliment and order our very first sewhere.com lapel pin. Sewing out loud. And we're back. We're going to talk about crafting. We spoke a little bit about some of the non-sewing aspects of costuming, just a little bit in that the breakdown room from The Handmaid's Tale, where people are dyeing things or they're shredding things.
Right.
Or there is more. This is a sewing podcast, of course, but there is more to costuming than sewing.
Yes.
Even when it's something someone's going to wear.
And when you're talking about getting rid of things, like you said, kind of be careful.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want clothes you can trash. So
somebody
is in prison, in the dungeon, and you may need to take, some clothing and rip it up and put coffee. I love coffee. I love coffee staining stuff, or burn the edges. I've done that. I mean, all that sort of stuff.
You thinking of a show?
Yeah, I'm thinking of a show. It was Phil Howard. He was Lindsay had a trouser part in it.
Phantom.
Phantom. We needed a bloody shirt.
Not Phantom of the Opera. Phantom.
Yes.
It's a different show.
So we needed a bloody shirt and a clean shirt.
Right.
And I went to the white shirts.
Yep.
Right? And got two that almost looked alike and made a bloody one and a not bloody one.
So that's important. Clothes that you can trash. Making stuff. I'm trying to think of stuff that I've made and materials that we've used. This is stuff like feathers.
Yes.
Wire.
You can dye feathers.
Foam.
You can dye foam. You can paint foam.
Buckram.
You can paint feathers.
Hey, tell people what buckram is. Millinery pursuits. Tell people what buckram is.
Millinery wire. Buckram. I don't even know if I know exactly what it is, but it's okay.
I think I know.
Okay,
it's like an open weave,
right?
Sort of canvasy type material that has a coating on it.
Yes.
And when you get it wet,
it becomes moldable.
And then you can mold it around like a hat block, or you can mold it around some kind of shape.
A ball.
Whatever.
Whatever.
And then it'll dry in the shape.
It dries in that shape.
In the shape you need it.
You often see buckram in hats.
Yeah, you can find it. Or like I think structures on a costume.
You could use it in the cow's head too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would use it for inside ears and things.
Just so you all know, if this is new to you, I'm thinking of the cow head. Okay, that cow head cannot be made like a stuffed animal is made.
No.
You can't create a structure and then like stuff it with a bunch of stuff to give it volume. You have to create some kind of very lightweight structure because these people have to wear them.
And they have to breathe, and they have to have air, and they have to see through.
So that buckram, it's like a screen sort of.
Right.
And it can be painted. Foam can be very lightweight and can be carved.
Right.
Okay.
So usually you have some sort of skeletal structure that like would fit over their head and shoulders that you've made.
Right.
Okay. And then you may have foam that you're going to apply to this structure. And then, if you're me, you get out your mighty electric knife and you start to carve. You literally start carving a head.
You're like Michelangelo.
Yeah, and you hope to God. And the best part is if you do carve off, like you can glue foam on
it
again.
Back on.
Yeah,
not like marble.
If all of a sudden you're like the back of the cow's head is sloping, you can get another piece of foam and stick it on there.
Right. So heads up. This gets into a little bit of materials maybe you're not familiar with just from sewing. Maybe you're familiar with it from something else, but you are going to get in there. This is where I think like glue is okay.
Right.
Where I think glue is appropriate.
And another thing, when you go to make the cow's head, as long as it's a good representation of a cow, it doesn't have to be totally anatomically correct.
Right.
Okay, if somebody sees it and goes, "That's a cow," you've won.
Yep.
You won. Yeah.
The glue thing, I wanted to bring something up. Just so you know, different adhesives will act differently with different materials.
Yes.
Okay, some glues will like melt foam.
Right.
Okay.
And they just continue to melt.
It just
doesn't
drops
stop
through.
melting.
Yep,
it just like disintegrates it.
It's like dropping hot lava.
I think it's the acetone in it, I believe.
Even if the glue doesn't we're not talking about hot glue. I'm
No.
talking about, I think, won't E6000 melt foam?
I think E6000 does melt foam.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm making that up.
I've used white glue on foam.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need to check your materials. Do
Yeah.
spot checks.
Yeah, I mean, it'll say on the packaging, and then don't trust it. Go ahead and buy it or whatever you have to do. Try it. And then if it does bother something or it turns a color or it doesn't paint well or something, I would baggy my glues. And I would put doesn't paint well, but works great on pearls or something,
I'm thinking of the Swan Lake hair pieces that we had to make. Did I make those? I didn't make those all by myself. Did I? Did I make those?
The feathery ones?
Yeah.
I think we started with something that was a bridal thing.
Yeah.
Is that what we were talking about?
But we had to make 4 of them because we were the swans.
Yeah.
And those, they had to have a structure that went on the head, and then the feathers sort of wrap around the head. This is a very classic costume piece. Like, it's the same every time.
It's a little, crown of feathers.
So that's something where we had to glue the feathers.
Or did we use a buckram ring? I can't remember.
Maybe I made buckram rings.
All I can think of right now is those. Do you remember the show choir things I made where they were huge? They were like the Vegas things.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait. Yes, I do.
Yeah, we went to New York. We took them to New York, remember?
So you made like a helmet.
I literally made a helmet, and their headpieces were 2 and 3 feet tall.
Right.
And lots of Christmas decorations on those.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of beads, Christmas beads.
So that's where we're getting into when we talk
resources.
Yeah, resources. You're gonna look in the holiday decorating section. Ornaments, like Christmas ornaments, can be a little because they can be breakable, but they are very light.
But one of my favorite things is the beads that you string on trees.
Real plastic, real light, real shiny,
and they're hard, and they're plastic, and they're light. Yes, yes.
Right. So lightweight things, you got to think about all of those. Factors. Gluing rhinestones. E6000 is really great for gluing rhinestones on. Okay.
Flat back rhinestones.
Yeah, flat back rhinestones.
And pearls too.
That you might want to put on a costume.
Right.
If you have ever been in any kind of situation where you've seen a dance costume, like a ballroom dance costume or something like that, the sheer volume of rhinestones is just so impressive.
It's thousands. So don't think when it goes, 1 gross of rhinestones costs, $20. That would cover maybe what your hand covers.
I was going to say your bicep.
Yeah. A gross is 144.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. In fact, a lot of them will sell you in lots of 10 gross.
10 gross.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's over 1,000 rhinestones, and you still need more.
Right.
And of course, it depends on the size and everything. Of course, as the sizes get bigger, they get more expensive.
And then you need different sizes for visual interest.
That's right.
I have seen people, though, really underestimate this.
Yes.
And this will make a ballroom costume look very homemade.
Yep. And plastic cheap ones from Walmart.
They don't reflect the light the same.
I might put those, in a show.
Uh-huh.
Okay, where you're giving the illusion of someone being a ballroom dancer.
Right.
But I would not use them on a real ballroom dancer.
Yeah, actual ballroom dance costumes, you're being judged in her costume.
Right. And believe me, everybody else is going to have the real thing.
Yeah. Now, the 2 costumes we made for ballroom, we started off with sparkly fabric, which I think
it wasn't sparkly. Oh. Which one? Because
Well,
the brown one is not sparkly fabric. It is beaded fabric.
Yeah, but it had. You're right. Like it wasn't sequined.
And the beads were not plastic.
No, they were glass. But that texture, I think, gave us a little bit of a shortcut.
Right.
To
Yes.
shiny. Shortcut to shiny.
But we still had Swarovski crystals all over it,
We still added crystals to it. We added crystals to the sequin fabric.
That's
Those
right.
of you who know about my maternity outfit that's the blue sequins.
Right.
That was my ballroom dance outfit. And so literally it's paved in sequins.
Right.
Okay. And we added rhinestones to that.
Yes.
With E6000. The higher quality.
So no, I was going to say, know what you're making. I guess, if someone says, make me a ballroom costume, and you've never made one, or you have no introduction to ballroom dancing, I'm not. If you're going to go there, you're going to have to research. You're going to have to research big, big time, because there are certain things like
there's certain rules,
like Latin versus this versus smooth versus that cannot be or cannot happen on the costume.
Yeah, there are styles too where you're like, oh, I can tell from the costume. You can tell from the costume whether they're going to do foxtrot or quick step.
Absolutely,
okay,
yes.
You can tell, and you might not like get kicked out or something, but it's just very.
But so it's a pretty uppity sport.
It really they get really particular. We're totally gone off on a rhinestone tangent, but it's very apropos.
This is about sourcing and where you
crafting.
have.
When we went to that competition and we looked at some of the costumes for sale, they actually used a material on those dresses. It was like a it was like a silicone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not talking just like it was like a silicone fringe that had rhinestones then on it.
Right.
I envisioned like a silicone sheet that someone cut out of. It was really cool, and it would lay on the body real close.
Nice.
It was kind of heavy, so it would drape, and it's of course all about the movement. It was really interesting to see that. Okay, so sourcing things, plastic.
Right. So I have a story.
Yeah.
About the Lion and the Wizard of Oz.
Do you have a story, Mom?
I do. Costuming professional theater. Summer Stock Theater, Equity House, and I am what they call overhire. So I get little special jobs, like make this costume, or make this costume, or make this, or whatever. And I get a call on Friday night. Wizard of Oz is happening. This is already the Emerald Wizard of Oz that's turned into the Teal Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
This show was like the bane
Cursed.
of me. Yes. Okay, so they had ordered from a costume house, in New York, which we would do sometime. This is sometimes to save time, sometimes to save money. It's for all different reasons.
Sure.
They had ordered Tin Man, and Lion and Scarecrow, right? I get a call on Friday evening, and at that time, Missouri still had blue laws, mind you. So certain stores weren't even open on Sunday.
Right.
Okay, most stores weren't open on Sunday. Like, I think a pharmacy could be open, or a restaurant, but like Walmart could not be open, right? Or no stores, certainly no fabric stores, right? So it was Zede. The character costumes came in. They're dreadful. We cannot use them.
Oh, no.
They won't work. Okay, we have dress rehearsal on Sunday, and we're dark Monday, and we open on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, do you have any fabric?
Yeah.
Because you have the Lion.
Right.
Okay. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Well, I know it can be done. I'm sure people not as smart as me have done something even bigger than this, right? I can handle this. I ran out to Walmart, honestly, and I just started looking. This was like Saturday during the day, and I think I had to get you to the all of you to the theater for, and I went to the Walmart in Columbia first, and I bought every hair extension they had. Okay, I still didn't know and I brought every color. I didn't even care what color it was. So I'm like, how am I going to make this mane? I have nothing to make this mane with. And then because the theater is about 80 miles from our house, I had to take them there so I could get to another Walmart that was in another town. And I went and I bought all their hair extensions. Okay, so I'm buying all these hair extensions, and then I got back to the theater and I said, I still don't have any fabric. What am I, I can't figure out. And someone showed up with this sort of funny, fleecy, cheap, awful stuff that was this funny mustardy color. I dyed it. It worked. So I got kind of a brownish, tawny lion out of this. And I made this mane out of these hair extensions. Mind you, every color in the rainbow of hair extensions at that time. Now, they didn't do pink and purple in those days.
I was going to say.
So they were more...
But that's what you wanted. You don't want just one color,
Well, you don't want just one color,
yeah.
but I did not have a very good balance when I got finished, right? So I go over to the costume shop and I say, where's the spray paint? Right? So I wound up spray painting the mane.
Right.
This turned out gorgeous. It was really, and the spray paint made them stiff.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's
it was
great.
whoa, I happened upon a really good idea and didn't think of all the, great possibilities of it. So that was when I showed them how to turn the tail inside out.
Oh, with the long tube.
Right. I took a long tube and the end, the broomstick end, and I sewed the tail inside out, put telephone wire in it, and he wanted to be able to move the tail. And guess who wore the lion costume? The director of the theater.
Not the the artistic director.
The director of the theater. So they gave me, and I know they gave me him on purpose.
Right.
There's no doubt.
They were like, oh, well, if he's pissed off, we can overhire person.
Like, you get Michael, thanks. So anyway, it had to be stiff but pliable, blah, 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 because he had to fall on it and all this, So it was stuffed with like a batting, but it had telephone wire going down the middle of it.
Different grades of wire are great to have
do different things.
Can I just insert here? Mom's like, why are you looking at your phone during the podcast?
Right.
I saw this article a while back on Facebook. So if you're trying to source things, even people who are costuming multi-million-dollar productions like Game of Thrones, the cloaks in Game of Thrones, there's these characters I don't think Mom watches. On the Night's
But
Watch,
I know what they kind of look like.
And they're at the ends of the earth. They're at the coldest area where the ice zombies come from. And their fur cloaks are made from IKEA shag rugs. Okay, and then, so
I read that article too.
I'm looking this up so I can send it to Sam and be a good podcaster, right? So she can put it in the show notes. But then I look that IKEA has published a, quote, tutorial
on how to make
your own.
Okay, so one of my stories.
I just wanted to say that
there was a TV series by Universal. It came out of Universal Studios. My aunt costumed this, and it was called Centennial, and it was the first 100 years of our country. Okay, and she was on the costuming of it. Now, in some ways, this ruins the illusion for you, okay? But she's like, this show's going to be really good, and this, so-and-so's in it, and so-and-so's in it, and so-and-so's in it. And she said, today I made Indian boots.
Right.
You know how she made Indian boots? She fitted all the characters in Nikes and built the boot
around the shoe.
On the shoe.
Okay, building.
So,
yes.
That's when we say build. You don't know. You might be building. Building might be sewing. Building might be gluing. Building might be a combination of this.
So if we bring this back to the crafting, okay, so if you buy like a baseball cap.
Yes.
Okay, then you can build a headdress off of that.
Yes, you can.
It's a good shortcut. Okay, that's great. Building over a shoe.
Building over shoes.
Painting a shoe.
I think we have a picture of Catherine's genie shoes. We built over them.
That's right. So you're building.
We built over a pair of ballets.
There you go. Not just building over tennis shoes, but building over tennis shoes is good.
Well, and what she said is they needed these shoes. They were actually like running in terrain.
Right.
They needed a good, athletic shoe.
They needed a sole.
Yes.
And so if you need someone to be wearing this genie shoe or this Indian boot or this robot boot or this whatever, but they need to dance.
Right.
Or they need to run over terrain. Or if you're a cosplayer, this is something, you and I aren't really involved in the cosplay community. Like, we don't
actually, I think we've lived our life that way.
That's right. We are constantly.
Because people the kids used to bring people to the house, even as adults, and go, they'd say, I need a Halloween costume. And they'd say, we're going to my mom's.
But I think,
and they could come up into the studio and become something.
I think cosplay is really cool because
So do I.
It's like they get to do a mini production.
Okay. I think I think that I've been doing that all my life. I just didn't know what to call it. And all these girls that learn to sew like Barbie doll clothes, I was sewing people clothes. I was sewing like real people costumes. I didn't want to fool with the doll clothes. I went straight to the people.
There's a blogger who I'm in a site, their business, I think it's called So Much Cosplay, and they actually sell foam. They brand it themselves, and it's a bunch of different colors, and I think it's sewable, and they teach you how to use it and stuff, and a lot of people use it to make like the Wonder Woman costume. So they're not using leather. They're using this costume foam, and I'm like, cool. Neat that that's really available.
Yes.
It can give that look. I bet it's paintable.
Well, I know Joann's has a cosplay section now.
A lot of people are getting in on
everybody's
it.
getting, and if nobody knows what that means, it's costume play.
And people will do it's a hobby.
Yeah.
And people will dress up and go to
it's like a Ren Fair sort of thing. Yeah.
So they'll go to Comic Cons,
Right.
they'll go to places, and it's really cool. People recreate video game characters, and people recreate characters from books or movies, or just from like lore of whatever. And I think it's really neat. I think it's a cool thing because when people talk about, I want to find a Shota costume. Well, what if you can't find a Shota costume?
Well, it's kind of funny because all these years we've all waited for Halloween.
Yeah.
And you don't have to.
No, you don't have to. And you can actually find an excuse and somebody to show your stuff to, right?
So another resource that you might consider is your garage.
Oh.
Okay. Or your husband's boat or tractor or something like that. And I do remember, and I did a lot of resource thing with Show Choir, and this was when this is where the M2M leggings made to.
Those came up just in case you don't know, I made it into the play.
And
the leggings came up last night because someone was like, Mallory's mom used to costume all these show choirs. And there was an all-male group and a blah, 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 blah. So anyway, go on.
Okay, so the made-to-measure leggings.
SoHere.com/leggings.
That's right. Sprung out of the all-male show choir doing Men in Tights. Okay? And then they had to wear tunics because I was from Scarlet Pimpernel.
It's called
How a Man Would Dress. What is it? Something.
Oh, well, they didn't do that one. That wasn't the show choir. They did like Into the Fire. The man dress one was that I did with Mark. They didn't do that, did they?
I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, it was something from the Scarlet Pimpernel.
No, they did like David walked into a valley.
Okay, so we went from we were going to wear like these plain tunics to, the director goes, I think it has to be like upscaled. We want like a satin something, So I they were beautiful. They were these deep green satin tunics. They were really pretty on stage. And I'm like, oh, God, they got to have a belt. They just got to have a belt, and it is like 3 a.m. and dress rehearsal is tomorrow, right? So I go down into the boat garage. And there's a lovely towboat rope.
Boat tow rope, towboat rope.
Towboat towboat. And there's only like 9 or whatever it was, 10. There wasn't a lot of them, so I needed like 10 yards, right? Oh my gosh, it was wonderful.
Was it wonderful?
Yes. It was.
Hey, remember, like,
and the next day I said, by the way,
honey,
the show choir will be buying you a new tow rope for your boat. And he's like, why is that? And I go, because they're wearing it today.
Remember when we just argued about the show choir program from the all-male show choir that was like 25 years ago? 3 minutes. Yeah, we were like, which song did they do?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they did.
What I know is we won.
Yes, that's
right.
And
we won. We had the mixed group, we had the all-female group, and we had the all-male group, and we went to Hannibal, Missouri, and we won first place in every category. And the director handed me all the trophies and said, quick, put these in your car. And I thought...
The boat car mentioned earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, it was mentioned earlier, the big Lincoln at the auditorium I drove. Right. And I thought, I'm going to be mugged on the parking lot. Every one of these schools has to be so mad, at us because we won everything. But what a high! I felt like I won the Academy Award. It was wonderful.
Did.
It was fun. It was so fun.
Okay, so I'm in this show. So there's a parent.
She's talking about the current show now.
I'm in this show right now. So there's a parent who I believe whose kid you costumed in the heyday. Is that right? Because I went to school with his daughter, but
Ed?
Ed, yeah.
Talking horse?
Yeah, did you costume his sons? Is that
Ed and I went to, I believe, you and I and Ed went to Disney World together.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Ask him if it was Disney World or New York.
Okay, so I'll ask him.
But we all went together.
So he's like, Zede used to do this and that, because I'm making, talk about crafting for a show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here you go.
Here you go.
I'm in Sweeney Todd, and they want edible pies. And Sam looks at me. I'm telling her this yesterday. I said, Sam.
Mrs. Levitt's meat pies.
That's right. Sam was like, well, in the show there are these meat pies. And Sam just doesn't look up from her computer, and she just goes, Mallory, no, you didn't. She knew that I volunteered to make the pies. But let's they want these edible pies, right? So sometimes you have to make stuff like that, right?
Okay, but sometimes, again, talking about resourcing, you say to your mother, so do you have any mushrooms? Yeah. So she gets in my refrigerator. What did you borrow anything else?
I took things that I didn't use. I need to give you back your goat cheese.
Oh. Yeah, she's like, by the way, I took these things. I'm like, oh, okay.
So, so I'm crafting. I have to make pies, and there's like 12 performances.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many.
That's a lot of pie. You guys are going to be fat.
I said to them, I was like, guys, these are pretty rich.
They're like full of butter.
They're pretty rich. Just like, if you have a sensitive tummy, just like, because I think that I felt a little like, after eating, a couple of them last night, right? Oh my God, they're so pretty.
They were beautiful.
I did a really good job.
And they're the size of like a huge muffin. They're really pretty.
I made them in muffin tins. Okay, anyway, so why was I bringing this up? This came up last night.
Resourcing or something, and you're in a play.
That you costumed these shows and the green machine.
Okay.
And I was like, I wore my T-shirt to that rehearsal too.
Oh, the one you made
yesterday.
From our made yesterday.
Yeah, But go ahead.
Well, a lot of people say that now too. So what do you have on that you made? They don't say anymore, did you make that? It's funny. They assume there's
what
at least a part of it.
They know.
The other day, one of the aerial instructors said, is that one piece or two? She just knew I made it.
Okay. On crafting too, we're going to have an episode later on about a project that Mom is doing for her friend Paul, who pole dances.
Yes, and Ariel's. Okay. Ariel pole dance.
I want to bring up painting on...
He's also 70.
Have we talked about painting?
I think we should bring up that he's
on fabric. Paul's 70. Have we talked about painting on fabric?
70. He wants to be known as the septuagenarian on the pole.
All right. Septipulgarian. Yeah. There we go. I was like, there's something here.
What I wanted to say, and where you're going with letting people know what your skills are.
Oh.
Can be a hazard.
I didn't want to tell my husband that I'd volunteered to make the pies because I thought he would be like, you shouldn't have done
that. What has happened to me? So Mallory's performing, and so am I.
That's right.
I'm performing in an aerial showcase. Okay. Mm-hmm. And of course, I was going to make my costume. Right?
Of course.
I started sketching it out, what I was going to do, what I knew what it was going to be, and it's Halloween showcase, so it I have a vampire theme-ish going on, and I've got mine all sketched out, and then my friend Jen, right, who's another elderly person who's doing not Paul, but
Ariel.
So, except really she's a pup. She's like 3-4 years younger than me.
She's only 60 or 59 or something.
Yeah, 61, something like that. She's got a birthday. I think she's going to be 62 and I'm going to be 66. I think that's what it is.
Just in case anybody wants to know.
So anyway.
Mom is 65 and I'm going to be 29 soon. Because people are like, we think that Zede's 40 and Mallory's
21.
42 or something.
I had her when I was 12. So anyway, in fact, Mallory can't come to my matinee because she has a matinee. She will have to come to my evening performance. But Mallory is also doing a voiceover on my music. And okay, so what happened to me was my friend Jen, she's like, I ordered this thing from Dance, Bozo, whatever, and I got it, and it's awful, and da-da-da-da-da, and Jen lives close, and I love Jen. Jen is probably...
She's your friend.
She's so much nicer than me. She's so nice.
It's not hard.
Yeah, I know, but she's like really, really nice. She's not like at all mean like I am. So anyway, I said, well, I'll make your costume. It's not a big deal. She's not going to be hard to sew for or fit or anything. I'll just measure, right? So I tell her I'll do her costume. She needs to find some pictures and give me an idea of what she wants, and then I'll give her a sketch, and she can okay it or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So then my one teacher starts so I said, I'm wanting to do hammock, but I don't, everybody's doing silks, and is it going to be a problem if I want to do hammock? And my one teacher who is also a representative, the student representative or the member representative to the Como area, says, let me think about this. And she comes back to me, she goes, no, I think you can do hammock. She goes, we want people to know there's more than one way to hang from the ceiling and, all that. I said, yeah. And she goes, boy, I would really like to pair up with you. Okay, I thought she was kidding because, she's more accomplished than I am. And she's like, no, I'm serious. Plus, she's like 5'10".
Right.
And I'm like 5 foot. And I said, really? Really? So anyway, turns out we're doing a duo.
So now
So now I'm doing 3 costumes.
There we go. There's it, because we'll do a podcast about that whole
thing. So
now
I'm doing the mirror image of my costume for her, and
you're doing
we're doing two different apparatuses at the same time, and then we're switching in the middle and all this. And now the picture got around that my sketches got around. And everybody's like, oh, Zede is oh my gosh, did you? Okay. And I was saying to Mallory, look at my crappy sketches.
No, yeah.
But anyway.
I told her now.
So be careful.
Yeah, so now Mom's making 3 costumes, and I have to make, I think I'm going to have to make a dozen per performance.
100 pies.
That's a gross.
Oh, yeah.
12 times 12. Yeah.
So anyway, Mallory.
Well, I wanted to talk about painting on fabric.
But I also do think it's funny that you are in shows with people that remember what went on 25 years ago.
But yeah, because I'm in a show with this old dude,
Well, he's as old as me.
I think he's a little younger than you.
I do too. I think he's
okay.
Not a lot.
Okay.
But anyway.
I just want to bring up painting on fabric.
Right.
And how you can paint on fabric to get color. You can paint on fabric to get texture, visual texture, as well as physical texture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because...
Or glitz.
Or glitz or whatever. You can kind of faux paint on fabric to give it the look of like wool. Or, I've seen this done for a lot is chainmail.
Yes.
Okay, they don't want to... No one wants to wear real chainmail on stage,
Right.
Surprise. So people will take like a pencil eraser, straw, and they'll dip it in black paint and go all over like a gray t-shirt. Okay.
Right.
So there's some visual texture. Now, something that's going to maybe come up when we talk about Paul is creating grip on fabric.
Yes.
Okay. Or with your aerial costume, you're going to be applying some surface design that needs to be conducive to doing aerial.
Yes. So you can't have anything on a costume that a silk might get stuck on, or anything on your costume that might get stuck on the silk because the performer that follows you.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be careful of what you do to the silk and what the silk might do to you. The silk, everybody, is nylon tricot, just so you know. But they do refer to them as silks.
Need to be, this will come up in the next one. Careful about where your costume's going. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that up, that you can use sponges, you can use different shapes to apply texture to
and there's
fabrics.
different paint. Okay,
yeah,
so there's the, i.e. tulip paint from Michael's or the drugstore, there's all kinds of paint. Any acrylic paint really will work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might want to thin it. Sometimes you might want to use a thinning medium.
There's also fabric medium.
There's fabric medium. Yes, and it says fabric medium. It truly says that.
So you can mix your acrylic paint into that.
In fact, a lot of my blood that's what my blood is.
Because blood's funny.
Blood is hard.
On stage, you want it to be this bright red.
It has to be brighter than it really is. Yes.
If you found someone dead, their blood wouldn't be bright red.
The blood would be browner.
Right, because it would oxidize or whatever. But this is what you have to get across on stage. So you have to think about that. I don't think there's going to be any blood in our Sweeney Todd. I think I
have blood.
I think they're going to shine red light.
See, Lacey and I are divas that the vampire gets.
Got it.
It's coming after. And we are going to have blood on our neck, but it's not our costume. It's makeup.
Okay.
So we're going to have like the bite on our neck.
Oh, okay. Got it. Good update because I have to help you make these. So. G2K. All right. So I just wanted to bring that up.
But think of it. I mean, yeah. And honestly, I have made hats out of baskets. I have made hats. I have a hat book. If you read, if you research how hats are made, you don't always have to make them that way, but it will give you an idea of how the structure goes.
I so enjoyed.
I love hats.
Making hats.
Hats are fun.
But you like to make a real hat. You know, you need to have a hat block. You need. It's kind of a wet process, actually. A lot of time, like pulling a felt hat.
Now, does everybody know why it's called Mad Hatter?
Tell us why.
It's because they used mercury in the shaping, or what was it?
You know, I'm not sure, but this brings me back to when that S-Town podcast came out. I don't know if you remember this, but like a long time ago we talked about this, and they like have an explanation for like somebody's untimely death, and I was like, yeah, they've been talking about how he just goes around and like deals with heavy metals like for fun in his yard, you know. And so yeah, mercury. Don't use mercury in your clothing.
Lead.
Yeah. You know, things
but anyway, hatters apparently used to go crazy. Nobody knew why, and they would be calling them the Mad Hatters. And then they found out that they were, heavy metal poisoning themselves.
Yeah. No, this guy would, whatever, do amateur alchemy or whatever in his yard.
But I mean, we've taken things out of the yard. Tomato cages.
Chicken wire.
Chicken wire. I mean, they're just, don't limit yourself to thinking you're going to find it at the fabric store.
Okay, this podcast is going to be over an hour long. Congratulations to us.
And we hope you're okay afterwards.
Yes, I hope that we've taken you on the emotional roller coaster of maybe getting really excited about costuming a show again and then not wanting to do it and then blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And next podcast is going to be about care for costumes, alterations,
communicating with staff,
all that jazz, the ecosystem of the theater. All right? Take it away, Mom.
So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.